Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how I made these granny squares. I'm going to show you how with the yellow yarn because it's showing up better on camera, but it's really simple. I'm also going to show you how I weave in the ends after each color change because you're going to thank yourself later when you don't have to weave in all the ends at the same time. So with your starting color, you're going to do a slip knot. I went down a few sizes on this. The yarn I'm using recommends a 5.5 and I went down to a 3.5. I recommend if you're going to be doing this, at least go down one size smaller, if not two. I think it just makes a cleaner look. So you're going to do your slip knot, then you're going to chain 3. Alright, so now we are going to, let me move that. We are going to connect into this first chain with the slip knot. You can go in right here if you'd like, but I like to go on the backs, at least for this part. So these little bumps, we have 1, 2, 3. So I'm just gonna go, let's see, that's the front, there we go, right through there. And we're just doing a slip knot, so we're just gonna grab our yarn and pull it all the way through. So now we've connected and technically finished our first row. So our next step is going to be doing a chain 4. Tighten that a bit. Before I do that, I always kind of like to see where I'm going to be putting the rest of the stitches in. So it's going to be this hole right here. That's going to be the center where for this first round every stitch is going into. So I always kind of like to find it first, kind of hold it open. We can always tighten it later. But anyway, so that's the hole we're going to be going through. But first we're going to chain 4. This chain 4 is going to act like a double crochet. Every stitch for this granny square is double crochets. US term double crochet. So we have our chain 4. We have our center that we're going to be going into. We're going to be now doing 3 double crochets. And that will be making our first cluster and part of the last cluster, which you'll see what I mean when I get to the end. So we have 1, 2, move the tail. I don't like working up the tail with this method. I just try to hold it out of the way. I just haven't found a good way to work up the tails while I'm going. But I'll show you how I weave in my ends. That has been working for me. Alright, so your first cluster should look like it has 4 stitches in it, which it technically does. So we have the 3 that we created, and then this first one is our chain 4. So it's going to act like a double crochet because it's the same height. So this technically is going to be the last stitch in the last cluster that we get to. Just showing you. So every other cluster is going to have 3. It will not have 4. So to get to our next cluster, we're going to chain 2 to create a space. 1 and 2. And then we're going to go back into that hole. So again, don't stretch out too much, especially if you made like a shorter tail end than I did, because you could pull it through. All right, so we did our chain 2. All the spaces that we create for these granny squares are going to be chain 2. So pretty much this entire thing is going to be double crochet and chaining 2s, or the 4 when you start with this one. So now we're going to go and do another cluster of 3 double crochet. I'm sorry for my stretchy, squeaky yarn. It is this yarn right here. So if you know this yarn, you know. But it's very pretty and it's a very bright color, which is what I want, especially with this pink, which is super vibrant. This is why I'm not using this on camera, because we could see the stitches way better with the yellow. But anyway, back to it. You're probably already done. Let me catch up with you. All right, so we have our 3. And then we need another chain space. So 1 and 2. And then 3 more to make another cluster. All right, chain 2. We will be completing our 4th cluster, which it's already kind of done for us. This is going to be the last one in it. So now what we need to do is just add 2 more. So this has a total of 3. So we have our chain 2 that's going to be creating the space between it, or between these 2. We just need 2 more. So 1. So we have our 2. We need to connect it. And this is such an easy way. You don't have to bother trying to find where the top of this chain is. I always sometimes struggle with that, like which one actually is it to connect. You don't want to connect too far over. Anyway, this gives a very clean look and it's easy. And you're going to do this the entire time with this last stitch. All you're going to do is connect with the slip knot to end the round into this chain space. So super easy. We're just connecting with the slip knot. And now this cluster has 3. Right? I'm going to snip off. And then honestly with these color changes, you don't have to leave long tails. I'm trying not to because I'm trying to conserve my yarn, because I want to see how really many I can make with the huge skein of this. It's the big one. What is that? Yeah. Anyway, so I'm trying to conserve it because I don't want to buy more. But I'll just snip off about that much. You can pull through. Sometimes I'll do another chain. And I kind of snagged this yarn. So I might just do my method of where I do 1 extra one. Oops, that might have been a mistake. Oh, here we go. When you snag your yarn like that, you have to be careful not to go through it again, or else it's really hard to pull through. But yeah, and we just close it off, tighten it, and we have our first little mini granny square. All right, so you could stop here and make something with like a million of these. That'd be pretty cute. We're gonna go to the next one, but before that, we are going to weave in our ends, because right now, if you are not in this habit, you're gonna get into this habit of weaving in your ends after every color change. It's just gonna make your life so much easier, because you could literally just put this down like I did, start it tomorrow. You don't have to worry, just go straight in with the new yarn. So yeah, so this is how I weave in my ends. After searching, I realized there's no best method. Everyone does it a little differently and everyone has opinions on how to do it. But I just find this is the easiest, and all I need is like my same crochet hook. Sometimes if you're using bigger yarn, go down a needle or crochet hook size to make it easier to pull through. But anyway, so this is the back of your work. You can tell because it's the bumpy. This is the front pretty side. So if your yarn somehow is kind of more on the pretty side, go ahead, just pull it through to the back more. And again, you could use the tapestry needles if you want, but I think this method's easier, especially when you have such short working tail ends to do. It's a lot easier because you're just grabbing it with the hook. So you just want to go under any place you can on the back, preferably not through both sides if you can help it, especially if you're using two different colors, if they somehow touch and you need to weave it in on that side. But anyway, you just pull it through to the back, and now they're both on the back. And what I do is the longer piece, or the one I ended on, I try to bring it closer to the first one because I tie them together. So just want to bring it down any which way you can, just get it a little closer. I especially like these loops for weaving in because you can go back and forth on top, and I feel like it makes it super secure and you can't even really see it. Alright, so yeah, this hook is definitely a little small for this yarn, especially because this yarn wants to separate, so just be mindful that you're trying not to go through your yarn. And yeah, weaving in really, it's not fun, but just think of it as you're not actually done with the round till it's done. And again, you're going to thank yourself so much when you actually are done with this. Like at the end of your project, you have almost 0 ends to weave in, especially on something that's going to have like a lot of color changes. I might keep going up with this. I don't know if I want this to be the final size. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of ends to weave in. But anyways, oh, am I getting close? There we go. All right. So I started here with this one. I'm right here. I'm going to weave it in to secure it going through this one and over that one. And again, there's no real super method to weaving it in. So you're just trying to make it not slip out. I like to stretch it a bit so I know it's not tugging too much. So I know there's like give when I'm wearing it. And yeah, this center hole, you can go ahead and pull through. Okay. You can go ahead and pull through, or pull this one to kind of close that center a little bit more. But to be honest, the nature of it, it's always kind of show. But that's part of the look. All right, so these are pretty close together. So what I do is I'll just go ahead, do this, pick there, pull both of them together. So now they both go through. Now I'll weave in a few times with them together. Just try to go forward a little bit and try to work my way back. I'm gonna go through here. That one. Probably pull it through here. And then what I like to do when I decide that I'm done kind of weaving them in, it's kind of hard when they're two separate sizes. So what I do is I'll leave it halfway through. I won't pull all the way through because I'm going to make a knot. So how I do it is go through the loop, pull through both, and I probably should have stopped earlier because one of these was pretty short, and just pull it through. Push it down before I tighten it really too quick, because if you tighten it too quick, it will end up here, then you have a mess to try to weave in. So just tighten the best you can, pull it through like that, stretch it out so I know it's keeping its shape. Now with this, you could keep pulling this, but it is going to distort your square, so just keep that in mind. Pull it tight, but not too tight. And then I'll just do another knot for good measure. I try to always do 2, especially when the yarn is this thick. Maybe 3. All right. we're done. We are now going to snip these short right before the knot, if you can see that. And it's not the prettiest. It will maybe, hopefully not pull through. I mean, it's there. It's always going to be there, but it's going to lay flat. And it's done. Alright, so we have done our first color for our first granny square. We weaved in our ends, and now we're going to go to the next color. I'm going to go ahead and show you on this one because I want to keep up with the yellow yarn just because it's showing up better on camera, and I need to make one of these anyway. You can see this is where I stopped, so it's kind of a good indication if you want to keep that, but I find it best to always start in a different spot on the granny square, especially when you're growing it bigger. So if you were to keep going right here, it's going to look a little bad just because you can see this cluster, it's a little more squished than the others, and that's just the nature of it. It's always going to be because it's that last one. So I'll just start, I go clockwise, so I'll start here. And the next color is going to be yellow. I'm going to go ahead and do a slip knot. That on your hook. Tighten it up. And then pull it through. So we're going to change colors, and this is how you can change colors for really any project. You want to have your slip knot ready, and it's going to be on the back because we're going to be pulling it towards us. So we're going to go in the chain space. Anytime you're connecting a new color, you're going to go through the big chain spaces. Pull it through. Pull it back a little bit so it's not like that. Don't want to work from it like that. I try to kind of get it held together and make sure I'm actually grabbing the working yarn. And then again, we always start with the chain 4 because that's going to act like our double crochet at the end of the round. So we chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then it's so much easier. We don't have to try to look for this little tiny center. You just go straight into this chain space. We're going to do 3 more double crochets, or 3 double crochets since this was a chain 4. So we have 1, 2. And now, instead of chaining 2 after this one, we're going to go straight into this next piece because this second round is all about creating the corners. So it starts off the same. We have our chain 4, 3 double crochet. We do not chain 2, we go straight into this, and we're going to do 3 double crochets. So we're going to yarn over, no chains, straight to double crochet. 1, so that's our first cluster and our first corner. And to create the corner, we're going to chain 2 here. 1 and 2. And now we're going to go back into this chain space because we're making a corner. So the corners are going to have 2 clusters of 3 with the chain space of 2 in between. And we have created our first corner. So we're going to go straight into the next one and do the same. We're going to do 3 clusters or 2 clusters of 3 double crochet with a chain of 2 in between. So go ahead, I'll meet you here, or I'll meet you, we're gonna finish, so go ahead, finish this corner, and then I'll meet you back right there. Okay, so we should now have something that looks like this. 1 full corner, 2, 3. We need to complete this corner. So this last one already has 1 of our stitches, so we just need 2 double crochet into that one. And then this space right here, it's going to act like the chain 2 that we put between, so it's going to look exactly the same. So we just go straight into this hole right here because we need to do 2 more double crochets. 1 and 2. And then connect by doing a slip knot into the big space right here. So I'll just slip knot, pull through, and I'm going to do 1 extra chain. Well, actually, the way I like to do it, I'll cut like that so I have enough to do a chain without struggling. Chain, or pull through, and it's complete. All right, so let's go ahead and weave in this just like we did before, because again, we are going to get in the habit of doing that with every color change. I'm telling myself that, and I'm telling you that too. We're going to do it. So I'll meet you back when these are weaved in, and then I'll just show you the last round, just so you know it's going to be the same exactly like that every time. All right, I'll meet you back. All right, so I got my ends weaved in. Already got my next color as a slip knot, and again, I'm gonna keep going clockwise to the next corner that I'm gonna start in. So this is where I left off, and I'm gonna go start in this one. Pull the yarn through. And chain 4. Three double crochet. And there's our first. So every round is good. Every next round is going to be exactly like this one. So we have our first round, our foundation round. The second one sets up the corners, and the next is just the rest of the pattern. So our next place we're going to be stitching into is this chain space, and then we have a corner. So some granny square patterns will have you chain before you get in here, and you don't have to with this one. This one saves you yarn. It's a cleaner closed look and just easier. And then you know the only time you ever chain is in the corners. So as this builds, you will have more of these in between. So just keep in mind how people mess up on their corners is they will think they're going to keep going like it's the regular clusters, and they don't actually make a corner. And then they go to the next, and then, oh, they do a corner, and then you get a triangle. So that's really the only thing you have to pay attention to. Everything else is just set up. You already know you need to do 3, chain 2 in the corners. Super easy. So I'm going to just get to this corner, and then we'll work all the way on our own to this one. So real quick, I'll show you. Chain 3, or not chain 3, excuse me. 3 double crochets into this chain space. 1, 2, 3. Next one's a corner. Go straight in with 3 double crochets. Chain 2 in between because this is a corner. 3 more double crochets right into that same spot. Alright, so that's pretty much the pattern. I'll meet you back here. Okay, so we just have to connect the last cluster to finish the round. So again, slip stitch, and it's done. So I'm going to show you real quick what you do if you're not changing colors, like if you're using solid color or variegated yarn, or just if you're doing a bunch of rows of the same color. You do your slip knot, and then you literally just keep going. Do the 4 chains. So you just keep continuing the pattern, which is always starting with a chain of 4, 3 double crochet, 3 double crochet, 3 double crochet, you're in a corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and all the way around. Okay, you have learned how to make the perfect granny square. You cannot go wrong with this pattern at all. I think it's so cute with just like the 3 rows, and then I kind of want to like sew these up together and make something. You can again like keep going, making a huge granny square, just starting with this. The possibilities are endless. It comes out really cute, and it's pretty easy to work up. Just remember, weave in your ends at the end each time, and yeah, you got it. Thanks so much for watching to the end of this video. My channel is pretty new, so if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to me. I'm going to be trying to do videos at least every week, if not every other week. I'm going to try to do more tutorials like this. I knit as well, so I'm probably going to have some knitting tutorials. But right now, crochet is like all I want to do. I'm fairly new to it. I've been probably crocheting for the last 6 to 8 months. Granny squares are definitely my favorites. I just started my first little amigurumi. It's really interesting. But again, granny squares are just my favorite because they're so versatile and you can do so much. I already have a million ideas, which is this. But yeah, again, if you watched it this far, thanks so much.